Hi there, welcome to the second episode of my 10-minute moan of today. And the topic of this one is quite a massive revelation that's came about during Alex Salmond's civil court case against some very high-ranking Scottish Parliament officials. Now, this case started November 23, where Alex Salmond is taking some people to court for harming him through their actions with a complaint of sexual harassment. And the Daily Record, using as reference, their headline, Police probing senior civil servant over false statement during Alex Salmond inquiry. Lawyer Gordon Dangerfield told the Court of Session hearing on Friday that detectives are probing an alleged conduct of James Hynd. Police are probing whether a senior civil servant gave a false statement under oath to the inquiry set up to investigate sexual misconduct allegations involving Alex Salmond, a court heard. Lawyer Gordon Dangerfield told the Court of Session hearing on Friday, that's today, that detectives are probing the alleged conduct of James Hynd. Mr Dangerfield is representing the former First Minister in an action which he brought against the Scottish Government. Mr Salmond is seeking significant damages as compensation for loss of earnings that could total millions of pounds from ministers. He is alleging malfeasance by various former and current Scottish Government civil servants, with his legal team arguing that they conducted themselves improperly, in bad faith and beyond their powers, with the intention of injuring Mr Salmond. They say this happened during a botched investigation carried out by civil servants over claims that the ex-SNP lead acted inappropriately towards a number of women during his time in office. On Friday today, Mr Dangerfield told Lord Fairlie that that Police Scotland investigation is called Operation Broadcroft and has been headed by a senior detective. The solicitor advocate, who once represented Tommy Sheridan in court, told Lord Fairlie that the investigation is looking at the alleged behaviour of Mr Hynd. Mr Hynd was described in August 2020 as being the Scottish Government's head of Cabinet, Parliament and Governance. Mr Dangerfield said, I can advise that the ongoing police investigation is named Operation Broadcroft. It is led by a senior investigating officer, Detective Superintendent Graham Lanigan. It arises from a criminal complaint by the pursuer, that's Mr Salmond, covering precisely all of the malfeasance averred in the articles of correspondence specified in the motion. The pursuer has been advised that the present focus of the investigation is on offences of willfully making false statements on oath, contrary to sections 44(1) of the Criminal Law Consolidation Scotland Act, 1995. The pursuer anticipates, however, that this focus will broaden as the investigation proceeds and in due course cover his complaint, covering the full range of criminality averred in the articles of correspondence. I would hope it would be evident to your Lordship, for a perusal of the averments, that it would be a necessary course for inquiry to follow. There's a very, very specific case that in my submission is self-evident in these averments, that the head of Cabinet, a very, very senior civil servant, Mr James Hynd, gave false statement on oath at the inquiry. The evidence in the averments is very detailed and specific in the summons I would be seeking to take your Lordship to them, because that constitutes a very, very specific and clear averment of the crime, and there is no doubt whatsoever that it's presently been focused on by Operation Broadcroft, because the pursuer has been specifically advised about that. Mr Salmond won a judicial review in 2019 when the court found that the way a Scottish Government investigation into allegations against him was handled was unlawful and tainted with apparent bias. A senior civil servant was appointed the investigating officer in the government inquiry, which started as early as 2018, despite previously having contact with the two complainants. The Scottish Government only conceded the judicial case at the 11th hour, resulting in Mr Salmond being handed £512,250 of taxpayers' money to cover his legal costs. The former SNP leader was cleared of 14 sexual assault charges in separate criminal trial in 2020. He alleged at the time there was a conspiracy among senior SNP figures around ex-First Minister Nicola Sturgeon to imprison him. Ms Sturgeon vigorously denied being part of a cover-up or conspiracy, although she admitted the scandal had resulted in a breakdown of the relationship between her and her now Alba leader. She described the relationship as very important to me politically, personally, and for most of my life. Among those named in the present action are Ms Sturgeon, his successor as SNP leader and First Minister, and Leslie Evans, the Scottish Government's former Permanent Secretary. Ms Sturgeon says she utterly refutes his claims. Mr Salmond's lawyers claim they had taken part in the criminal leaking of confidential documents, the concealment of documents in defiance of court orders and criminal warrant, the misleading of the court during judicial review proceedings, the soliciting of false criminal complaints, and ultimately the commission of perjury at a parliamentary inquiry. On Friday, Mr Dangerfield asked for the case to be assisted, legal expression for it to be paused. Where did we get to? Sorry. The court heard that if successful, this would be the fourth time the case would have been paused since being brought in November last year. Mr Dangerfield said he wanted the case to be paused over Operation Broadcroft. He feared that the police investigation may uncover evidence which could disadvantage the officials at the centre of the Court of Session action. Leslie Shand, KC for the Scottish Government, urged Lord Fairley to reject the request for SIS to be extended. She said, "Your Lordship knows that this was raised in November 2023. It's been insisted 3 times already, once for another police investigation that came to nothing, and here we are again. This is a 4th motion for SIS. This is a concern about the length of time has since passed the events in question. There is concern that the effect it will have on evidence and also on individuals who have these allegations hanging over them in the summons. The fact of the matter is the onus is on the pursuer to demonstrate that it would be in the interest of justice for it to be delayed. In my submission, my learned friend, my friend has not reached the first hurdle of demonstrating his litigation causes a very specific real risk to prosecution and the conclusion of criminal proceedings. If there are ever criminal proceedings, which are highly speculative." Lord Fairley made a reference to a legal judgment made recently by his colleague Lord Sanderson. In his opinion, Lord Sanderson established a set of tests which lawyers need to meet in order to pause civil actions in cases where there is also potential criminal actions. Lord Fairley said the circumstances of the present case did not appear to meet the tests set out by Lord Sanderson. He refused the request to extend the SIS. He added, "If any stage during the process any party identifies a risk to prejudge to a police inquiry, parties are at liberty to bring that matter before me to revisit my decision on whether or not there should be a decision for further procedure in this action. But for the moment, I am completely unpersuaded by the mere fact of an ongoing police investigation, the outcome of which we simply cannot guess at comes anywhere close to meeting the test required to maintain a SIS in place." So, there we go. Bit weird. So, what have we learned? Well, we've learned that yet another police investigation is underway about people at the top of our government. And I kind of understand what Alex Salmond's lawyers try to do. He's trying to say, can we stop this because stuff might come to light through the police investigation that could help him in his case against against the Scottish Government. And I can totally understand the Scottish Government's position of not wanting the pause, because if anything did come to light after the police investigation, it could severely harm their defence of the Scottish Government. So they kind of won this argument. And the judge has sided with the Scottish Government. But the fact that we've got another investigation, it's just blown my mind, because what basically this investigation is looking to establish is whether a man at the head of the Scottish Civil Service in Scotland lied under oath for quite a serious hearing, an inquiry about sexual allegations and whether it was dealt with correctly or not. And that's quite frightening. So I hope that this investigation doesn't take as long as the predecessor, the branch firm investigation, but We'll see in good time what the outcome is of both the Alex Salmond case against people for malfeasance and the investigation against top civil servants telling lies under oath. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. But most important of all, unless you're any of these people involved in any of these scandals, see everyone else. Have a great day. Cheery bye now.